Welcome to the On the Run with Jess and Tom podcast.
This is Jessica Taggart,
And I'm Tom Conway.
and today we are super excited. We finally have our first guest on the podcast, and he is a very special person. I met him at this spiritual event, and he'll tell you about his story, which I think is very fascinating. And I'm going to let him introduce himself, please.
Yes. Hello, my name is Paul Vibes, and yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on as your first guest
Our
to your
pleasure.
podcast.
Yeah, sure.
We're very excited. And like I said before, Paul has founded this beautiful event where he brings the healing community together, wellness, healing artists, right? And this is why I'm so like, wow, I really want to know everything about the story of your whole event. I want to know about the story of the people you work with, right? Because obviously I'm a very big fan of this spirituality world. So, and Tom is getting into it as well.
Yeah. Well, you've been awesome, and just connecting with you these last few weeks, and possibly collaborating on an upcoming event. It's cool to see how connected the spiritual community is, and how willing we are to support each other. So it's been a beautiful experience.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and like we talked about these in our previous podcast, right? And when your soul is onto the right path, you kind of start finding your tribe, right? You find
Yeah.
you start finding like little by little, and by one you start finding the right connections, the right people, and you start connecting soul to soul, which is what we are all aim for, right? It's beautiful.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us about how do you actually venture into these? It's different, right? It's different for the mainstream, for the career oriented, whatever, whatever else society tells you that you should be doing, right?
Yeah.
How do
Definitely.
you venture into these beautiful, like different, world?
Yeah, it's a good question. And just going off of what you were talking about before, your vibe attracts your tribe, and for me, if I really want to go back at how Vibefest came to be, I got to go back to my childhood. I'm sure even with the both of you sitting here, like it didn't just start a month ago or whenever you had the idea for the podcast. This journey of ours started a long time ago.
Yeah.
Childhood normally. So for me, it really started growing up actually with the learning disability that was brought on by being choked by the umbilical cord at birth. And
Oh, wow.
luckily I survived. Here I am.
Wow.
And, luckily at a young age, I was given a lot of services. My mom was a big advocate in my family. Resource room, summer school,
Yep.
accommodations, tutoring every day. Even my brother got tutoring in summer school, so I wouldn't feel left. He didn't really need it, but they threw him in there
That's
with
so
me.
nice of your mom to do that. I love that.
I'm very grateful. Not everyone has, so
Yeah.
I grew up with learning disability, extra.
What type of disability, if you don't mind me asking?
So yeah, it's a good question. Basically, it was a comprehension disability. So I needed extra time on tests. I needed a separate location.
Right.
I had ADHD, which I've through my spiritual holistic journey, I'll share later. I've definitely worked on being a lot more focused and getting things done. But I was, easily distracted and had trouble focusing and retaining information. And as you can imagine, I mean, growing up in today's society and the bullying that comes along in schools,
Yeah.
I definitely got more bullying than the average kid because of that.
Wow.
Being in smaller special ed
How
classrooms.
old are you, Paul? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
I'm
the
30.
You're 30. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I think ADHD is it's kind of been mainstream, for maybe like the last 15 years. So you were probably still ahead of the curve too.
Yeah.
Like at our age, at my age, I'm in my mid 50s almost, and so you wouldn't. There was no special services. It was just kind of like you were going to do worse in school.
Yeah, you gotta
know
deal
what
with
I
it.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You were going to.
That was your destiny.
And I hear a lot of people later in life be like, "Hey, I just recently got diagnosed
Sure.
with ADHD,"
Well, I'll tell you,
and then they're
I need to be diagnosed.
we're diagnosing him right now.
I am undiagnosed.
We
other than
actually
the fact
already
that
did
I know
diagnose
I-
them.
You're officially
You know what it-
diagnosed on the
right,
podcast.
right.
It's totally official.
Yeah.
It's totally legal.
And,
It's fine.
and so now, though, I think the ADHD, and not to derail your story, I'm
No,
sorry,
please.
is so mainstream that like the percentage of kids, just because of screen time and social media and all that kind of stuff, that have
It's like
some
everybody.
form of it now. It's a large constituency of the population. So it's not even now. It's not so much special services as a new degree of services.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? It's crazy.
Yeah, but mine, like I said, it was even more than just ADHD. Like I was I had trouble retaining and I've overcome
The
it
oxygen,
a lot
right?
over the years. So
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
but because of that disability, because of that learning disability, this perceived negative thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to overcome a lot of bullying. I had to overcome a lot of self-doubt. I had to overcome a lot of just internal ways that I viewed myself and limited myself.
Mm-hmm.
And what really put me on the right path was volunteer work. I remember there was this club in high school. I think it was like 10th grade. And this is before I even knew what spirituality was. I didn't know anything about that stuff. And I remember this club called Project Tolerance, and this mentor who was also the founder of this club, his name was Mr. Bajaj. He probably was one of the most spiritual figures and mentors in that high school, and a mentor
Cool.
of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And he created this club, and we would take trips to the VA hospital in Northport.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting there with the veteran. We weren't doing anything fancy. We weren't playing a board. We were just talking. And I remember in that moment at my young age realizing the impact that conversation was having on that man's life just by listening.
How old were you at that time?
At that time, I was in 10th grade.
Oh, okay.
So I was young.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
remember just sitting there and being like, wow, like we all have the ability to make an impact on someone's
Yeah.
life, despite
Mm-hmm.
my learning disability, despite your challenge, despite someone's sexuality, how much money they have in the bank. Like every day there's an opportunity there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like, wow, I got a confidence boost because I was like, wow, despite my challenge, I can do good in this world. So I started exercising more. I started taking care of myself. The bullies that once bullied me, I noticed they stopped. They knew that
Mhm.
I wasn't a victim anymore, and I
Mhm.
realized
Yeah, you
just
can
by,
feel it.
and they're
Yeah.
just coming from a
Mhm.
hurt place.
Mhm.
You know, typically bullies have been hurt. You know,
Yeah.
and hurt people. You know,
Yeah.
and so I ended up like being, I want to say friends, but I became more understanding of their journey and why they were, and had more compassion. And then after high school, I continued that energy of working and interacting with people in the community. I started getting involved with working with the special needs community.
Nice.
A lot of those connections I worked in high school. A lot of kids with special needs who were in inclusion classrooms. So
Mhm.
they were individuals with special needs that were in the same classroom the whole day.
Yeah.
And I would make friends with them,
Awesome.
and I continued that after high school, and just continuing on my self-development journey. Like I said, I started exercising, I started getting more into spirituality, and I started actually a non-for-profit after high school for the special needs community, where we would just plan
Beautiful.
social outings.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's been really rewarding, and then that kind of led to Vibefest, because I was like planning events for just the special needs community, and then I started really diving even deeper into my spiritual practices. I went to Peru for an ayahuasca experience, and a
Oh,
lot of
that's
other
amazing.
yeah, and a lot of other experiences. But I wanted to create events where we got together people like ourselves
Mm-hmm.
who maybe didn't want to go out to a bar or a club to socialize, because there's great yoga studios, there's great meditation studios,
Yeah.
but there's not much nightlife
Right.
and social settings for someone that's like, hey, I want to go out this weekend, but I don't want to go to a bar.
Yeah.
So Vibefest came out of that idea of like, I wanted to create that in the world,
Cool.
because I want to go to it.
Now, hold on. Is that
You
your,
know?
your actual last name?
Paul Vibes.
That's incredible.
It's not
That's
official.
his artistic.
So-
it's
Oh,
his
this is your
artistic
stage
name.
name.
That's my
All
branding
all
name. That's my
Oh,
brand-
sorry. I don't know if I was supposed to out you out, because I was like, I mean, that's destiny, right?
I was born with these vibes.
Yeah, well, he vibes,
He
and
just
that's
vibes.
and that's your identity.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
that's your
yeah.
identity. So sometimes your identity goes beyond your name,
Yeah.
beyond your skin color, beyond your whatever limitations that we
Put
are
on ourselves,
labeled
yeah.
with, right? Or we are born with too.
Exactly.
And it's amazing that you mentioned that, because my son is ADHD also,
Mhm.
right? And I'm still struggling with that. Oh, what's the perfect formula for him to understand his value in this world, right? For him to understand that he actually has a job here,
Yeah.
but he hasn't gotten to that point yet. But I'm like, and when I see you, and when I see people like you, and I see so much potential in this world, I'm like, I know my son is gifted too, and I have
How old is he?
you give me hope.
There's hope.
You gave me
How old
so
is
much
he?
hope. He's 17.
Oh, he's got a good mom here, and he's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think just going off what you said, like that's exactly why Vibefest came to be, because I was like, I want to create a community of people to support each other. So the great thing about Vibefest is you have all different types of people. You have entrepreneurs, you have artists, you have healers. It's not just spiritual community; it's
Mhm.
all different types of communities.
Yeah.
But what makes us a little bit different is we don't serve alcohol. I'm not against alcohol. People
Mhm.
think that sometimes we're a recovery group, and there's nothing but love for people in recovery. But these events are, we're trying to create a holistic community. So we serve drinks like kava, which is made from the root of the pepper plant. And it's cool because it's a very ceremonial, it has a very spiritual energy. It originated in Fiji, and the different communities and tribes there would come together and drink it in like a coconut shell. So the different tribes would come, they would take, break down the root, and then they would filter it with water, and they would drink this as like a celebration drink.
It's drunk cold or room temperature?
Usually cold. Or depending on different communities in Fiji, but it definitely tastes better, I think, cold.
Yeah.
So what's cool about it is, though, it helps you feel relaxed and social, just without all the negative effects that come with alcohol.
Cool.
So you see it becoming more popular. Earlier, I gave you guys a can, which you guys can refrigerate and enjoy
Yeah.
later. But that's, we offer that, and even that at the events. There's no pressure. We want people to come to focus on building conscious connections. But we serve kava, we serve drinks like CBD drinks, we serve other elixirs, if you choose to, just to help you feel relaxed.
Yeah, of course. I love that. And one of the things I learned when I was doing my somatic training is that actually, if you want to get that high, you can actually get it with your own presence, right? With your own spirit and with your own with your own work, and you can get to that ecstatic place just by moving and dancing too. And that's one of the things I love about somatic work. You can get to that place without having a drop of alcohol, right? Yes. All you need is to be present. All you need is to know that you have the power to get whatever you want to get, and with meditation, you can also do that too, right? You go to places and just imagine this world being that place where we are all united, right? And this is what you do these events for, so we can all feel like we're all one, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny you bring up the shamanic movement, which I'd love to talk more in this podcast about, because at our events, as you know, we do workshops. So we'll have the kava bar, we'll have elixirs, we'll have workshops, whether it's meditation, a static dance, movement workshop, sound healing, and then we'll also have an opportunity for like vendors and artists, like I mentioned. So we'll have people who make literally this. For example, the gentleman who makes these, he comes to our events, he has a forge and he like hand makes these different beads, and
nice.
Whether it's tie-dye clothing or paintings or live painters. We have all different people who make herbal tinctures and sea moss gel. So we have, what's cool is you'll find all these different people, and they have a theme. It's about wellness. It's about creativity. It's about spirituality. And we'll also have at our events a place for live music. So on the 17th, we have a couple of bands, performers coming on, and so there's all these different ways.
So now this is you have multiple events, right? So there's an annual event, I think, that I read.
So it's not
in something.
We do all different types of events. It's not, we are working actually next summer, which is really exciting. I think I mentioned a camping event, which is every festival's dream, to have a camping event. So all of us, how manifesting works. All of a sudden, these opportunities come. Yeah. So we actually have a couple of spaces for next summer that have showed a lot of interest in us doing a camping event.
Awesome.
So I'm probably going to take a few months leading up to that off, just to really get sponsorships, really have a big production.
Oh my God, that sounds so amazing.
Are those on Long Island, the locations?
Yeah, those are all on Long Island. We're looking at a couple places out east.
Nice.
And we're doing an event which you're going to be involved with on the 17th of August, and that farm is so beautiful. It's a farm that we're looking at. I'm not going to name on the podcast as we announce it. But we're really excited for this farm. It's beautiful. And they've shown interest in doing something big for the following summer. So
oh my God, I really love that idea. It'll be like how many days are you thinking? Like one night, 2 nights?
The first summer, doing a camping, making it a 3-day, 2-night.
I love that.
3-day festival.
Yeah.
And bringing so many different types of artists, creators, vendors, healers, and creating like a really beautiful experience for people coming, because as you guys know, there's not real people go out of state, all at Pennsylvania, they go upstate, they take trips to go to these bigger festivals. And to be honest, of course it's my dream to do a big event, and we will, but I also really love the intimate events when you're able to connect with 30 to 100 people at a smaller venue and really connect and vibe that way. Whereas these bigger events, when I've done events with a few hundred people, it's a beautiful experience. But you're running around. There's a million things going on.
Yeah. You're still managing it.
Yeah, you're running around.
Yeah.
So, it's been a really beautiful journey. These last few years, the connections I've made, the healing, the friendships, the growth, that have happened, the triggering, the experiences that come with when you're interacting with so many people. It's sped up my growth sometimes in a very intense way.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you just
really
kinda
nice.
take one step in the right direction, right? Like I always say, like, you need to see the whole road. You just need to see the step in front of you. And when
Yeah.
you do that, things coalesce. It's really, really pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And another thing that's important to me at the events, being that a lot of my journey has been around those with diverse abilities,
Mm-hmm.
that VibeFest is a really inclusive environment. We have people from all walks of life. We don't like clicky energy. We don't care where you are in your spiritual journey. We're not pretending to be some guru that's better than you. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
we don't like that type of energy. And
Mhm.
we actually have a lot of people with special needs that I know from my non-for-profit days
Mm-hmm.
that come to the events. So it's really cool
That's
that they
amazing.
feel they're on their own
Mhm.
journey, some of them, and they feel safe coming to the events. They love the kava. They love that there's no alcohol. It's just a very safe
Mhm.
and inclusive environment.
Yeah.
And that's really important
Nice.
to me. So
Cool.
I love that. I love that. And I was just daydreaming in my mind. How cool would that be if we can actually bring all these teens, right? To be a part of this and to learn about spirituality and how you can actually be in control of what's here and tap into what's here to be happy, to connect to others, And when you find that connection soul to soul, you can be happy. I just get so excited when I talk about
me
this.
too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
when I was doing podcasts too, like even though feel like you just get high off of it, like when we have a real deep connection
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
understanding, and
Yeah.
you get high off of it, just natural high. And that's the way I feel when I do the events, and even before the event, planning it, networking, making phone calls, setting it up. I really
feel the
enjoy the
energy building.
process. Yes, and
That's cool.
it's really
It's
rewarding, and it reminds me. Don't get me wrong. There's times where I've had doubts. I questioned if I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
I want to just like maybe give up. There's been many times where, things come up, problems, you know, humans are,
yeah,
we create
yeah.
problems for ourselves and others.
Mhm.
And I've really overcome a lot these last
Wow.
few years. And I'm grateful that I'm still doing it. I don't know if you
Awesome.
guys experience this too, but when you do something long enough, you have a lot of people, wow, you're still doing that. Wow. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and usually with those people, unfortunately, they're used to picking things up and
Mhm.
not really, at least you said, one step at a time.
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
yeah, it's like I think we want to, for sake of security, and I know I do. I should say we. I do. I try to see the whole, the whole ball field. You know what I mean? And then sometimes that field itself can be intimidating based on where you are, and you're like, man, how am I going to get all the way over there? But in the times in my life when I've taken action just for the next step that I knew, and you then encounter new things on each step, right? And so it kind of builds momentum of its own, and it empowers you and pushes you forward, and
Yeah.
just creates like that swell of wind in your sails, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean,
So
just being asked to be on your guys' podcast, I'm very grateful that you guys invited me on, and that's another reminder of like, okay, yeah,
You're in the right path. Yeah, on the right-
I'm here, and this is amazing, and you guys are here creating this opportunity for people like me, and for it's awesome.
Yeah,
It-
you know, it's so nice that you are here to remind us all that when you're passionate about something, you don't let anything stop you, right? Even doubts, even the people who will tell you you're crazy, because I've had that a lot,
Oh yeah,
the people who are tell you, what the heck are you doing now? Like, right? And sometimes you just doubt yourself because of other people's perceptions of what you're doing, right? But you are an example of that. You are still here doing it after all these years. And I can only see just amazing things happening. I can feel it.
thank you. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't know if you. So this is actually a really good story. So do you remember that expo that we met?
Yeah.
So I actually just had a phone call with Diane. Amazing. She does a great events with her husband, the Psychic Expo. We're actually looking to collaborate on this big event down the road. Won't give any dates. It's exciting stuff. But I went to her event, and they were having trouble with the microphone and the setup.
Mm.
And she's, you could tell that there's the fear. There's like people are waiting, and I jumped in and I was like, let me help out. And the speakers weren't working. I'm like, let me just go get one from Best Buy. So I leave the event. I pick one up. Well, first we were trying it out for testing for like 40 minutes. This just wasn't working.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to Best Buy, got the speaker, and we made it work. And she made a whole post about how I saved the day, and I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'm like, we should all be willing to step up and
Yeah.
help out, especially communities that we believe in. And I really believe that there's always opportunity. Like I was mentioning with the volunteer work, you know, there's always an opportunity to step up.
Yeah.
And to make a difference.
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
help
if
out.
you're interested in giving, there's opportunity for sure.
Yeah,
hmm
definitely.
Yeah, and that's what your purpose is. You know, like you actually find your purpose when you find yourself being useful to others, right?
Mhm.
And that's what makes you, I mean, someone who's making a difference in this world, right? And I don't think we can get into that place if we are doing it just for selfish purposes, right? When you're doing it for others, it's like it's happiness. It's like heaven, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does feel really good to,
Yeah.
you know, and when you create opportunities to give,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm grateful. You know, anytime at the events, if there's an opportunity, just, you know, we rarely turn people away. If, you know, for tickets, for example, if we know someone's struggling or they need a dip, we always make it work, even for vendors.
Yeah.
You know,
That's amazing.
yeah, there's always an opportunity to help each other
Yeah.
when we can. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love you, Vibe.
The vibe- the vibes.
I love you, Vibe.
yeah, thank you. You guys too. You guys have a great vibe, and you know, Vibefest too is like accepting people where they're at. You know, wherever they are on their spiritual, holistic journey, we want people to feel welcomed and included. You know, they can jump into a workshop at our event. They can connect with the vendors, you know, and get involved. That's another big thing is if people want to support the events, especially as Vibefest gets bigger, we're going to need to team up with people like yourselves,
Yeah.
you know, for workshops or planning behind the scenes. There's a lot that goes into event planning, and there's a lot of really good things that can come out of, you know, bringing our community together in a big way.
Yeah.
Because it's really big on Long Island. I mean, the wellness spiritual community is really big on Long Island. We just don't get together enough for bigger events. So that's kind of where I feel like my mission is to really put our differences aside, come together. You know, all the yoga studios, all the wellness studios,
You're like
come together.
warring studios.
No, put your differences
Yoga.
aside. It's like Karate Kid. You got these different. Who's got the best yoga moves? No.
Yeah, no, we really need to come together as one. You know, it's very important to understand that we all have gifts, right? And they might be different, and and there are people who are going to be in different levels, but it's still, if you are in this level, you should be there to inspire others, right? Not to feel like you're superior. Just be there to inspire others and bring them with you, right? And then the people who are learning, don't rush, just learn, you know, learn and share what you're learning too, because that makes the community, you know, better. And that's how I feel about the work I do too. You know, the more I learn, the more I want to go out and share. Like everything I do, I just want to go out and, okay, I learned this. I want you guys to know it too. You know, I want you guys to learn. I want you guys to have it. Like, it's just like, why not? Right?
Yeah.
Why not?
And so I don't know if you mentioned this already. So is there an age range for Vibefest? Is there?
So it really depends, because some of our events, you know, we have some like you know, adult themed like vendors and stuff like that. So typically our events are 21 and up, but not all of them. You know, like some of our like outdoor events, we try to keep them family friendly and stuff. You know, we want it to be, because a lot of people in the community, you know, have children, and we want to make it a safe space for kids and stuff like that. And then also, as you guys know, like some of these workshops, you know, a lot of adult themes come up and topics, and we want adults and, you know, us to feel like safe to express those.
Yeah,
things, you know?
that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. And you were saying your next big event is on August 17th.
Yeah, so August
correct?
17th is actually the farm that we're planning on doing the big camping event for next summer. And this event on the 17th, you know, we're going to be doing a shamanic movement workshop with you, and which is exciting. And we're going to have you know, we're going to have a yoga workshop, a sound healing, grounding sound healing kind of opener for the event. We have a bunch of different bands and some really cool jam band type of energy, and really fun artists from Long Island. And then we also have a bunch of really cool vendors that are going to be there. And the farm is just absolutely beautiful. And we're going to have an elixir bar. We're teaming up with somebody for the elixir bar to offer some really cool, not just kava, but other herbal elixirs to help you either give you energy or relax. Or so yeah, really cool collaboration. And this is going to be a fun, soft opening in a way to what we could do. And what we will do, I should say, what we will do.
Yes, for
How
sure.
about that wording?
Yes, affirmations, you know.
And so where can people go to find out more about this? If they
So
want to participate?
the best way to stay updated with us is on Instagram at VibeFestNY.
VibeFestNY on
Yeah.
Instagram. And so we'll include these links in
Yeah,
the show notes too.
VibeFestNY.
Mhm.
We also have an email list people can join, but that's the main way that we
VibeFest
connect.
NY on
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah, and they
Cool.
could reach out, join our email list, and we post everything on there. And reach out to us too if people have questions or people want to learn more about the events. I'm the type of guy, truthfully, as busy as I am, you know, besides just meeting with people who want a vendor or do a workshop or be
Mhm.
involved that way, I'll meet up with anybody interested in just coming to the event. So
Cool.
I'll grab coffee, grab a healthy juice, just get to know the person, jump on a phone call. You know, it's really important to me that, you know, anybody that comes to the events, they feel welcomed. They know what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have like a safe space. So
Wow. Awesome.
That's really nice. Have you ever thought about doing like outreach events, like in libraries or places like that, like public places, and like different towns, so people get to know you a little
So
more?
I don't really do libraries only because, as you guys know, like not everyone is super like
Open
when I
to
start
it.
talking about kava and breath work and
Yeah.
spirituality at the library, I don't know. I have done networking events at yoga studios,
Oh, I
and
like
that's
that.
kind of like I shouldn't say I've been changing networking to conscious connections because I know network. I love
that.
networking, but sometimes I say networking and some people go, "Oh, network."
Yeah, a little cringy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
okay. It's but you know what? That's their own viewpoint of
Yeah.
what it is. Like
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
networking just means you're connecting with people.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I like conscious connections, and even at this weekend's event, it's a small yoga studio.
Yeah.
We're expecting a good turnout, but it's an opportunity to connect. So there's not many events that actually promote that, like connection. You know, usually it's like a lot of socializing, or there's this performer, or this going on, or this workshop. But we are really trying to fit the niche of like connecting. You're going there. Maybe you have workshops. You have workshops. You have this offering. I want my events to be that place where you can go and meet other people in the spiritual community. So there's activities going on. There's vendors, but it's really an opportunity where you come in the door and you're like, I can't wait to share what I have going on and hear what else is going on in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you know, my mission and what we are going to manifest besides a camping event, I'm working on a book as well, which I didn't think I was going to talk about, but I can
Oh,
just
please
quickly.
talk.
I won't
We
give
love
too
books.
much.
Oh, we're writing.
right,
We're
this-
writing
this
a book
book's-
called.
So if you would have told me, being that I grew up with a learning disability, I struggled a lot with writing. So if you would have told me a couple years ago that I'd be working on a book, I'd be like, that's the last thing I'd be working on. What are you talking? That sounds like I'd rather like die than write a book. So, long story short, I had this download, and as you guys know, a lot of conscious writing, you know, happens through us. It's not really like we're like thinking about
Yeah.
it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I have this book. Without going into too much detail, because I want to make sure I follow through in these certain steps, as you know,
Yeah.
writing a book.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a book that helps children identify the different, like, let's say they're going through different challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and helps them almost visualize. It helps them in a way to visualize the different things they're going through,
Wow.
and then helps them with steps of what are healthy ways that you can now work through that. And what's cool is I'm working on it where the deluxe version of this book will be interactive. So teachers can work with their students, parents
Oh,
can work with
wow.
their children, and there'll be like different versions of the book. But basically, it's allowing children to make a roadmap and visualize their challenges and
Wow.
obstacles in a more productive way
Yeah.
that is very spiritual themed.
Mhm.
And what's cool is it's very interactive. So as you're reading it, besides maybe following the different recommendations that the characters in the book are using to overcome whatever particular challenges in that chapter,
Mhm.
you can go back and maybe like, you know what, I really like breath work, or I really like this thing or this
Oh my
practice.
God,
So
I love
it's
that.
really interactive,
Mm.
and it all came to me during I was in Woodstock and a spiritual hike I was on during that time, and just I was like, wow, I really feel very strong. Like I have a strong desire to get this book out there.
Wow.
Thank you. And I want to actually create a, I want it to be an illustration book. I want there to be pictures on the book, but I also want to create an animation, like a short story animation that
Mhm.
might even come out before the book, which kind of promotes the book, but kind of shows you in a short animation,
Mhm.
like a part of the story.
Cool. I mean, I love the idea of even not we don't ever want to label anything,
Mhm.
right? But the fact that a young person could go through this and say, "Hey, I'm not uniquely broken per se. This is my challenge, And so this is how I can get through my challenge, rather than just say, what's wrong with me first, or is there something wrong with me? No, there's definitely something wrong with me, but not, no one's gone through this before, right? Which you often think as a young person, right? You
Of
feel
course.
like you don't realize there's a whole bunch of other folks on the road with you. And so the fact that a kid could I don't know if
Visualize
diagnose
it.
is the right word, right?
But visualize
Identify,
it.
identify, yeah.
identify where they're at. I mean, that's incredible. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I love
And
it.
yeah.
I love
I,
it.
I would, I can already, speaking of manifestation, like it sounds crazy even talking about this, but I know it's the space where I can do it. I've already visualized the opportunities that come in sharing this book, whether it's interviews on TV and not so much in the sense of like, oh, that's me up there, but more of like it being successful and
Yeah.
making an impact on
Making
people's
an
lives.
impact.
Look what I get
Oh
to
my
do.
God.
Yeah, privilege,
It's such a beautiful idea, because we talked a lot too. I was just talking about it actually, how we feel alienated because we think we have weird thoughts, because we think we have
All I have is
weird
weird
feelings,
thoughts, though.
right?
That's right. And they're not weird. If that's all you got,
but
that's
that's
not weird.
totally okay. But that's totally okay. I mean, we as children, if you had something weird, if you label it weird in your mind, you wouldn't be able to talk to someone or tell your mother, tell your father. But if you put all these things in a book saying, listen, this is not you only. This is something that a lot of people go through, and it is completely normal. And this is how you overcome it, right?
Yeah.
In a
Mhm.
in a very practical way, right?
Yeah.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
That is brilliant.
And I want it to be interactive. So as
Yes,
you
exactly.
even though your son's a little bit older, right? You have a son, right?
Yeah.
So you could be reading with your son in a way that's not, it's still cool, and it's got like a fun way to interact, and you could add in things that you would maybe do differently, or other modalities that would help you in that situation. And what's cool though is, throughout the main story, it's this young child working with his grandma. The grandma's like this wise grandma, and she's helping him
tools.
along the way.
Oh.
And there's one thing I want to share is, like when we're on a healing journey, especially when we get involved in spirituality, we can sometimes get a little too confident and cocky, right? We kind of think, oh, when I go through things now, I can easily just bounce back, and I don't, I'm spiritual. Oh, look at me.
Yeah.
So what's cool though, in the book, you're gonna see this character who's listening to his grandma and doing the things. But then he thinks that he has to do it. He does this thing, and then it's all gone. As you know, healing it takes time.
Yeah.
You can't rush your
Yeah.
healing. So
Mhm.
Trevor Hall talks in his song. You can't rush your healing.
Mhm.
And there's going to be a couple of cute moments in this book, one in particular, where he's trying to use the modalities that his grandma taught him, but he's doing it in a very forced way, and doing it. I want to do it now. And what happens is, like when we're dealing with something and we try to push it down or get rid of it, just for the sake of getting rid of it, what happens? It gets bigger. It gets bigger.
Yeah.
So this is a really fun way, without giving too much away.
Oh, I love it.
The way that I visualize it, it's really cool. It's a really great way for kids to see it and kind of look at it in a different way. So it gets bigger and bigger to the point where the kid can't move, and it's on top of him, this energy, right?
Yeah.
So what's cool is there's a moment there where the grandma is working with his her grandson, and he's like, I just want to get rid of it. I want to let it go, and I want to get through this. He's like, it takes time.
Yeah.
So then it takes a little slower time for
Patience.
him to heal through whatever that challenge is. And that's a great way of like looking at our lives. Like sometimes we want to quickly get rid of something,
I think that's the instinct, especially in the secular. Well, I use the word secular, even though probably is not the opposite of spiritual.
Yeah.
Society today, everything's instantaneous. Everything is, this is happening to me today, and I need, push it down, push it out, flip the switch, whatever, change direction, and it just isn't that way. I mean, you drag this stuff through your life willingly or not. I know I definitely did, in my younger years, and so. Yeah, it's a process, right? I think they call it healing for a reason.
Yeah.
And and when you push it aside, that takes you to that disassociation, right? We've all been there, right? Trying to disassociate.
Disassociate.
I have a problem saying that word. Disassociate from our emotions, right? And we just try to find the easy way, right? The easy way out. And how do we do it? Sometimes we use alcohol, we use drugs, we use socialization in excess, right? And we go to the wrong places just so we don't see it with our emotions. That's tough. It's tough because that happens a lot to little children. It happens to teenagers. It happens to us as adults. If you don't recognize that you have an emotion that you need to process in your body, but you feel it and it's so uncomfortable, you cannot see with it, you'll do anything not to feel it.
I would say a large
And
majority of
that's
people.
the opposite of healing, right?
Yeah.
Healing is sitting with your emotion, processing it,
It's like
acknowledging it, welcoming it. Emotions make us feel alive, right? So we need to embrace those emotions, and I love that idea. Oh my God, I'm so excited for you. And I really want this will make, I just want it to be global. So every child has the opportunity to learn, from what's here, and know that they're just perfect, and they need these steps. They need this adult in the book to talk to them and teach them, right? So,
Yeah.
but they'll have this guy.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And it's kind of what you're just saying reminds you of that saying, you got to feel to heal. You got to
Yeah.
feel to heal. And I
Yes.
think we all can relate to,
Yeah.
that's hard though. It's hard to sit with our feelings and
It's
heal
hard.
the right way.
It's hard.
And my goal and mission with this book and even my events is, to create an opportunity for healing and connection. And that's kind of the theme. I look at my life and the things that I've done. And what I'm sharing with you today is like healing and connection. My goal is with the book, and when the book's ready, I'll come back on here and give you guys a
Please.
copy. But what's cool is it's a very interactive. It meets everybody where they're at. Doesn't matter how old you are. It's something that I think can impact everybody. And what's cool about it is it's really going to be an interactive way for families as a family
I
to
love
work.
that.
Whether it's shared traumas or shared experiences, and it really creates a different way of visualizing, and it's very interactive. And I think that's important.
That's
going to
be the difference. That's great.
Thank you.
I'm very
I'll keep you
excited
guys
for you.
updated on that. It works. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's so much work to do in the world, but to find people like you who are interested in making that difference, in making that change, and start from where you are, make your community's life better, make your families, somebody around you, make a difference in one person's life, and that's the way we do it, right? That's the way we heal our community. Start little, start at your home, start with your friends, start with, your school, your yoga studio, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody else will follow. I feel like we're gonna heal. The world is gonna
Yes.
heal.
And speaking of healing, I want to try this
Oh
tea you
yeah.
have. Good segue.
So, talking about healing and herbal products, so we got some of the Incan market infusions that Tom and I are making. Well, we went to Peru also. I don't know if you know,
beautiful.
but I'm from Peru.
Yep.
So we went to Peru and we went to this laboratory where they grow their own plants. And I mean, we learned a lot about this, right? So I was like, I need to bring these back home. And so I started doing my own infusions, and we started trying them at home, and they really work, So I'm like, I need to share this with the world. So I started making my little pouches, and I'm gonna give you some. This one I made today is Joy. It has some herbs that help you stabilize your nervous system, and they make you feel like calm, joyful.
It smells really good and tastes really good too.
Yeah, it's pretty herbal. I didn't put any sugar or anything because I really love the herbal taste.
Yeah.
You want some?
I have some.
You have some still?
Yeah, I've been drinking it. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. It tastes really good. I actually really like the earthy herbal taste. Being that I drink kava, which I know you've tried too.
Yeah.
It's got like a nice earthy taste. You appreciate, especially on your spiritual path, right? You start eating healthier.
Yeah.
You start to appreciate, I think personally, like the more natural tasting.
Yeah, I love that.
foods.
And the fact that to know that we can find all the things that we need to heal our body in nature too, right? Like we made some to detox your digestive system, another one to sleep better, and another one just to completely relax, right? And I feel like if you pair all of them, you can have like a nice, you'll sleep well. Then you wake up in the morning refreshed. You drink a little bit of chill or joy, and then you'll be like, it'll give you a different perspective. I feel right.
Definitely.
Because when you're in this survival mode all day,
Caffeine.
caffeine is just
I
crazy.
struggle with that. To be real, like caffeine. I'm an upper guy. I love
caffeine.
I know, dude. You know, I kind of make myself feel okay with it when I drink organic coffee. But still,
Yeah.
our poor adrenal glands were like
they're,
shot.
They're hammered. Totally hammered.
I know, and I feel like these natural remedies really activate the relaxation response, right? Which allows you to stop and think before you react when you're feeling these like crazy emotions, right? So this is all part of our healing, our healing vibe.
I'll definitely be buying some on the way out because I love that.
Well, these I brought out for you,
Oh,
so you can try them, and then I'll send you the directions and stuff.
Well, please bring them for our big on the 17th.
Yes.
We'd love to have you to give you a free table to sell, anything you want to sell.
Oh my God. Yes. I'm so excited. Yes. We'll definitely be there. Yeah.
Yes.
So, this is amazing. You are really inspiring and you're only 30 years old.
Thank you.
So you're a baby. You have so much ahead of you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm really, really excited, to see that you are keeping up with your Vibefest dream and don't let anything stop
So
you.
is this your
Thank you.
full-time pursuit at this point?
So I would love to, and I think when the time comes to make that transition, I'm definitely open to it. I also love the other thing I do, which is I work as a life coach with the special needs community. And it's great though because they like
I love it.
it really intertwines well. They like to go in the community, so I'm out in the community with them, and I'm meeting people, I'm connecting with them, and we're just in the community together. And I love that what I do is very community based. I could never be in an office. I could never be stuck in their house doing dishes and laundry. I got my own to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm a community guy, and whether it's the life coach work I do, the events. Something which I don't think we have time today to talk about, but also I'm going to be manifesting in time a space to do events, but mainly have it like a kava bar, but the drinks will be secondary. I want the focus to be on community, where you could look at the schedule and have people like you and maybe doing podcasts, maybe doing a movement workshop, having a yoga, a meditation class, or men's groups, women's groups, and then there'd be an elixir bar. So at nighttime, instead of just going home or going to a bar or a club, there's a more spiritual, holistic focus space for people like us that want to relax, maybe enjoy a tea, enjoy a kava, and still go out, without being hungover the next day.
Right.
Oh my God, that would be so nice.
Yeah.
We wish you all. It's
We're
gonna
gonna
make
make it
you're gonna
happen.
make it happen.
And so,
Yes.
So do you? I shouldn't say where do you do coaching, but I'm really interested in the coaching space, and so I want to get back.
He's
to that.
actually preparing himself
so,
to start.
You're coaching youth primarily.
So this is a great topic. I work for agencies working with the special needs community, but I would love to talk to you more about this because I actually also want to expand my coaching. To more just a general young men. One topic that I think is a good topic for another day. Maybe we can team up on
we can
this.
keep talking all day. I don't
Yeah.
care. We don't have to go anywhere. This is
It's up to you.
something.
It's up to you.
No,
So,
but
well,
this is something he's very passionate about.
Yeah, well, we should talk
too.
about it because what I find, a lot of young men, especially with like dating, this is a good topic to have for women to be here as well because dating is so challenging in today's world. Men don't know how to act. Do they want to act masculine, feminine? They're afraid to be leaders. They're afraid to step into their masculine because of cancel culture or because of just being afraid of being too. They don't want to be looked at being in charge.
Yeah.
So this is a topic we could talk about for hours.
Yeah, and so it's great that this came up, right? And so I'm so interested in the youth. I mean, men of any age, right? In regard to leadership, ethical living, and really owning what leadership is, and that just simply means having one or more people that are in in your purview to influence, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I grew up as a kid with not a lot of confidence, and man, it poisoned every decision I ever made. And I know that there are many children, young people of every gender, but obviously I identify with my own experience as a male, and I want to get to those kids, and let them know that it's first of all, it's okay that you have individual talents, that you have an individual gift to give the world, that you don't always have every answer, and it's okay to pursue the answers and not feel as if you have to be something, so to speak, some predefined image or person or something like that. And so, yeah, I think it's so important to, instruct young people to own their masculinity, because that's another thing now that's gone crazy, and there's nothing wrong with you know owning those feelings, those emotions, those things that have been historically defined as male, right, or masculine, or are always in the process of redefining.
Yeah.
And that females or your corresponding individual in those relationships want that also from you. They look for that from you, and so it's a really important thing to uncover and to profess without beating somebody over the head, without degrading somebody, we're not trying to make anyone feel less, right?
Right.
That's a reciprocal relationship between partners, and they have unique things to give energetically, and so do you, and so do we. And so I just think it's really important to own your role in that yin and yang kind of relationship of a not only a romantic relationship but a life partnership. Yeah. And so that's crazy that it's amazing how things grow legs that way, like how you're gravitating in that direction from where you are now. It's just incredible. I don't know how you have time to do anything else but this, because it seems like
I know.
you are so you've enveloped all of these things.
Well, I'm grateful. They coincide really well, which is great.
Yeah.
All the different things I do.
Yeah.
And if you
They
notice,
go hand in hand,
whether
right?
it's the book or the events or the venue, they all have this theme that gets me excited. Like we said, about healing and connection,
Community.
and just going off. I think everything you said was very well said. I think that, what's funny enough, I think that a lot of the women that I've known in the Vibefest community, and as you know, there's a lot more women in the healing community that are out in the front, at the events, and us men, as you know, we're a little bit delayed with this stuff, but it's changing. I think there is a shift, and a lot of women in the community, they want that man to step in their masculine and not being, it's good to have a balance, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of the women that either I've been friends with or I've dated in the past, they really appreciate a leader.
Yeah.
And maybe because of people's past traumas and challenges, a lot of people may be afraid of that leadership, the masculine energy. But I think the world today, I think we could agree, we need people to not be afraid to step in those roles, because we know we don't want to go down that path where you have a lot of weak men.
No, I know. And I feel like you guys have been reading my notes, because when I came back from the last convention I woke up, and I don't know if I told you about these two books I woke up thinking about. One was My Value Lays Under My Skin, which means my skin color doesn't define who I am, right? We all have a worth that goes beyond the skin, beyond the looks, beyond anything you can see physically, right? And I was so inspired, and I swear every time I think of something, I just write it on my phone, right? And then the other one was I quit being el macho. El macho meaning being the man, right? I quit being, because I feel like growing up, because I didn't want to follow my mother's steps, right? My mother always subjected herself to my father, right? That was the way of things back then, right? The man was like the strong figure in the home. My mom was the weakest figure in the home, and there was a lot of trouble, in that environment. So I said to myself, I'm never gonna be like my mom. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna support my children. I'm gonna be the strong person in my home, and I'm never gonna let a man tell me, I support you. So I took that role, right? But I didn't know how hard it was, and it took a toll on me. Right. And I was like, I had a marriage where I didn't really give this guy the opportunity to be the guy, because I was like, I got it. But I was like, I'm tired. And I'm really tired. I'm like, I told him when we met, I'm like, I'm ready to be taken care of. I'm ready to step into my feminine energy, and I'm ready to allow the man in my life to be the man in my life. To take that masculine position, not in the fact that he has to support me or anything like that, but to feel like, no, I don't have enough. We're gonna do it together. Like, yeah, I can do it on my own, but it's not about that. I'm not gonna position myself in this place where I used to position myself. No, I don't need you.
Well, I mean, any
right?
anyone can do more synergistically than they can individually, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
the-
mean,
collaboration.
we
the
are
idea.
born to live to be interconnected, right? We are more when we are together. That's the way we should see it. And I was so like lost, right? I was like, no, I'm the man. Like basically, I said to myself one day, I'm just gonna
And
cut those cojones
and it's
off.
beautiful, right? When you two can come together in a loving way, and you can step more, and you feel safe to step in your feminine. I think
Yeah,
from what you shared, and I hope I'm speaking correctly, that it sounded like in your parents' life, like it wasn't balanced. And it
right.
was really
No, not at
one-sided,
all.
and he's creating an opportunity for you both to step
Yeah,
into your
yeah. This is
power.
why you know it is amazing when you let that person be all they can be,
Mm.
right? And that person will give you that opportunity to be all you can be too, right? But it takes time to get to that, to that place where you find that balance, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think any loving relationship means wanting the absolute maximum level of growth from your partner, right? Like you want to see them erupt into everything they could be, and luckily you can be a part of that. You can enable and support that growth, and so I think a lot of things. You're going back to masculinity and what we kind of touched on for a minute. There's a corrupt form of masculinity too, right? Which means I need to lord over you, and I need to keep you down to elevate myself, which is social across the genders anyway.
Totally.
That goes on, and so I think that's where it's gone wrong in prior generations. Listen, before women were in the workforce and before women were educated and all that kind of stuff, it was very easy. Obviously in a lot of the older cultures, that was a very typical model, and so. You really didn't have a woman didn't really have another choice other than to become someone's spouse and then be subservient to them, and so now that there are those choices, it's nice to be able to see the strength in the individual genders bring to each position, and so you see that everywhere, in executive leadership and everywhere.
Yeah.
I was fortunate, most of my supervisors in corporate America were female. I worked with a lot of very strong women in my life.
Mm.
And it was really developmentally, I think accelerating in a way, so that's I think it's just about enabling each other in both ways,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
There is so much. There are so many topics we can touch on, right?
yeah,
Totally.
When it comes to healing, when it comes to balancing, when it comes to creating a better community, healing our community, helping different um parts of our community, youth, like survivors, right?
What are the therapists going to do? We're going to put them all out of business. They're going to have to find something else to do.
I mean, I think we go hand in hand, right? Because there's obviously a need for psychotherapists
Mhm.
also, right?
Sure.
Because they play a big role when you actually need something more profound, right? Or you need to really have like a map to navigate, and
If we
and
stop,
to
if we
heal.
stop damaging each other, we may actually not need psychotherapists. If you
That's
think about it, they're only there to undo all the damage or help you undo it. You know what I mean?
If we can only see each other as souls,
Look at the
that
old
would be
tribal
amazing,
models,
right?
The
If we could,
elders were the psychotherapists in
That's true.
the tribal world.
But I think it's
Grandma,
shifting again.
grandpa.
I think having these conversations that we're having, all the work that we are doing individually and
Mhm.
together, this
Yeah.
podcast,
yeah,
I really believe that this is medicine, communities medicine,
Yeah.
these different projects that we talked about today. It's all just, it's all about transmutation. And there was a time I was actually giving a lot of talks before COVID, actually. I was giving talks at schools and this idea of transmutation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was doing that a lot,
I love
even
that.
virtually to different schools
Mm-hmm.
throughout different types of schools that didn't have a budget for speakers. A lot of these schools, especially during COVID,
Yeah.
and I was very humbled that I was asked to do virtual talks
Wow.
to tell them
Oh,
about my
I
life
love
and
that.
overcoming my own disability, and it was really cool. This idea of trauma and challenges, right? It's like a lot of these kids who are going through these traumatic experiences, being at home during
Oh,
COVID,
forget
their
it.
senior year. Imagine this is supposed to be the best year of high school,
Oh
and
my God.
prom and graduate, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And what's cool is, having a positive conversation with them, saying, hey, they were sharing with me, a lot of them, that during this experience, they realized their passion to do this or do
Yeah.
holistic living,
Mhm.
or, video editing, and like they actually found something positive that came out of it. And I think that's a theme in what we're talking is about. It's like, throughout the different challenges that we go through in our lives, like how do we transmute that? We may not have the elders like we used to have. You were mentioning early on, but we have these communities that we can support and come together.
Yeah.
And that's really my mission, is to create, whether it's the events or this book or eventually the space, to help be a conduit for healing and community. So
I love it.
So the work with the schools, that was done through your nonprofit?
no, that was done separately. That was done separately, but I would discuss through the talks the different work that I've done.
Yeah, cool.
And stuff like that. So
That's amazing.
you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really,
great.
really amazing of you to do that. At this age, and you're gonna be an inspiration for a lot of young
you. Appreciate
children. I really see it. I really see it. And I want my son to listen to this conversation, both of them.
Yes, we'll have them on with us.
Yes, where you have a little. You know what I was thinking, when you have your little venue, when you have your huge venue that you're gonna
We'll start
have.
small.
Yeah. When you have your venue, I was thinking that you can even have like a podcast thing where people can
I thought
sit
about that.
and have like conversations like
That's-
this, right?
Yeah,
I have
thought about
I
that.
have this topic. Why don't we sit and discuss? And
Do it
just,
right now.
right?
Yeah,
And
that's what I've thought about. I actually thought about that too.
that'd be so cool.
Yeah, I thought about having a very almost like
street talk kind of thing.
very you come and you kind of create your own little vibe.
Yeah.
You come in there, we'll have like a shoes off beanbag vibe, like a hippie lava, very
Yeah, I
cozy
love
vibe.
that.
We'll have an area for like the kava. We'll have an area to do like a podcast, or just take out your laptop and do some work on your laptop, and for the day instead of going to a coffee shop. I want it to be a very workshop based place where people could use the space for a podcast. Community center,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, cool.
I love
I want that to be the
community
focus,
center. That's perfect.
Yeah,
And even talk about like you can have the different challenges, bring up different challenges in life, right? And have people talk about like creative ways to overcome them and turn them into something positive, right? What's the lesson?
Yeah.
What do we take out of this challenge that we can teach to our community and whoever is listening, right? That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I appreciate
that's
your
amazing.
support and reflections on it, because it's all things that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
It shows.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It shows. And
Thanks,
I
man.
mean, I love that that's how you're spending your time.
Thanks.
I mean, any, especially again in our society, for a male to take this and own it and run with it, it's just it's revolutionary. Real, I guess is the word. That's
Thank
coming
you.
to my
Yeah.
mind,
I appreciate it. I'm hoping to inspire. People telling me all the time. All the people have made comments. Are you worried about people copying Vibe? I said, please.
No. Yeah.
This is what I say. I say, I want to. You know why? Because I want to go to an event that I don't have to run. Copy Vibefest.
What if it's copy?
Yeah, call it better Vibefest. I don't know. Better vibes.
No,
whatever.
no.
No, but the point I'm making is, you want to always have a frame of abundance.
Yeah.
If people are going
Right.
to copy Vibefest, I'm happy that I could play a role in inspiring them. I mean, think about it. If people do something
Amen.
that's just like what I do, right?
Yeah.
That means a lot of the vendors have another place to make money and be supported. The musicians I have and then I can go and network and get, I get supported.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
win-win.
yeah.
I can help
Yeah.
them. And so I always, anything I do in life, I always try to look at it as, would I be okay with someone copying my exact thing? And I'm like, yeah, why not?
I mean, there's so many of us in the world. We need millions of you. So we need million
Same with
copies
you guys.
of
Yeah, all of
of vibes, please.
all
We
different
need
types of
this.
energy.
We need it. Yeah. And we are very inspired by you, by the way. I know, I can tell.
Yeah.
I can
Thank you,
tell
man.
Thomas
I love
because
to know that. Yeah.
a lot of the things he's been now transitioning into doing, right? Into doing the coaching, and he's very passionate about about talking to young male, and you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
And you are really like an example to follow.
Thank
You are, and thank you for coming. I feel like you came into our lives for a
Aw,
reason,
thank you.
right? And you are like opening these doors to see this like magnificent, right, world.
I just want to make a reflection too, put you guys in the spot. I think, obviously I don't know too well, but just seeing the relationship that you guys have and the way that you guys have built this podcast together and what you shared before about the masculine and feminine, I think, it inspires me as someone who's on my spiritual journey as a man, knowing that I could find a partner also that's on their spiritual
Oh, yeah.
journey.
Mhm.
You know, and I look forward to connect with you, Tom,
Yeah.
and hopefully, you know, maybe we can do a podcast where we bring on a young adult who's maybe overcoming some stuff and do
Yeah.
stuff there. But I really am inspired by your guys' relationship as well, and I appreciate you guys, you know, having me on the
Oh
podcast.
yeah, that's our absolute pleasure. I mean, yeah, you, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, you are our first guest.
I feel special.
But-
And we are
But
no,
there
you are
there
special.
couldn't have been
You
a better
are.
one. You know, we've been talking for the last month or so, and I kept telling you, and I think we're ready now to have guests because we figured out that, you know, there's the technical
course.
and kind of like the personality of the podcast, since we've been doing it since January, you know, and so that this is just again very timely. There's no coincidences, as I believe. You know, it's just like the door is open and somebody will walk in if you open the door. And so,
And
you-
like
you
I
were
said,
that person
everything
for us.
always
Yeah.
everything always works to perfection.
Yeah.
You know, this was meant to happen. This was the right timing, and it was the right timing for us to find you and to find that inspiration in you. You know, and
And you
And
diagnosed my disability as well.
It is.
I've been waiting
talking
for
about
someone
that,
to do it.
please. I didn't want to say be so like direct, but thank you,
Listen,
thank
truth,
you.
truth be told, I have an 18-year-old daughter who has ADD also, and everyone goes, "Oh, she's you." So I knew
So,
before
but
now.
it helps you. I'll be honest. There's a
It
way to.
does.
It's all about how you use it, right?
Gotta leverage
You and
it.
I can. There can be a million things going on. We're used to having a million thoughts, things, so
Yeah.
we don't get overwhelmed like other people
Right.
do in situations.
Right.
And then we never run out of ideas,
Mhm.
right? There's
Yep.
always ideas
Yeah.
going.
Yeah,
so.
that's the truth. Like I don't. I tend to under emote, and you know, professionally, people used to take that as if I wasn't really serious about the situation. I said, no, it's not that. It's just that feels normal to me to a degree, and I'm just trying to, as you're laying it out to me, I'm trying to figure out how to fix it.
Solutions,
you know?
right? You're already thinking about
Yeah,
it. a little bit,
I don't get too
yeah.
wound up.
I think it's I don't think I'd be the person I am today. I'm sure you feel similar if I didn't. So
I can get
it's
a
a
lot
blessing.
of stuff done. Like when I'm
Yeah.
unchained, forget it.
Yeah, I feel the same
forget
way.
about it. Cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And I was telling Tom maybe we should do like a little healers run, you know, to start our guests. Since you are the one who opened up doors for our guests, maybe we can invite some other healers, you know, some people who are doing this work in the community, so we can learn a little bit more and so people know where to find them too, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any recommendations on guests or sponsors, this and I hope you guys know, like, a connection of mine is a connection of yours, and I mean
thank
that.
you
And
very
I
much for that.
Thank you so much.
I mean that.
Thank
We
you.
gotta be able to support each other. So
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
So one more time, Vibefest. Just give us the information.
So it's VibeFestNY on Instagram, VibeFestNY on Instagram. That's the main place that we
Mhm.
connect. And
Yep.
then you reach out to us there, and we can add you to our email list and reach out if you have any questions about
And
the
this
events.
is on the 17th of August this year.
Yeah, 17th. By the time this gets up, we'll probably have the flyer already done, and we'd love to have you.
Well, we're gonna do our very
Yeah.
best to turn this around quickly. By the way, because
Awesome.
we know it's time sensitive. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that very
we
much.
talked about that already.
Yes,
Beautiful.
yes. And well, if you want to experience like this next level of connection, you know, next level of healing together, right, with the community, and if you want to meet these beautiful people, because I've been around these beautiful people and the energy is just like so uplifting. You'll be recharged, you'll be healed, you'll be like you have no idea. So I recommend you to go to this event,
And make sure you stop
August
by the Incan Market on the way.
17th.
Yes. You'll have your teas there.
Stop
and
at my stand
you'll have a
and
workshop.
yes, and come to my workshop too. I'll be there.
All right, Paul. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ciao, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Hey everyone. If you enjoyed this content, Jess and I would be very grateful if you would subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you access your podcasts. Subscribing is the best way to support us and make sure we continue to reach the people who can benefit from the information we share. We also invite you to follow us on social media. We are On the Run with Jess and Tom on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and OTR Jess and Tom on X. Thank you for choosing to spend this time with us, and thank you for your support.